Hello. As we have already discussed, this course is a practice course. This means that it is important to link the values, theories, and skills learned in the course with what you're learning in the field. This presentation is on ways that class and field can be mutually supportive in meeting your overall learning goals and developing the competencies. Let's talk about how this is applied to one of the very basic skills in social work practice, the professional helping relationship. Some of the concepts, skills, and processes that provide the framework for integrating social work theory and practice that we will be reviewing during this presentation include adult learning principles, experiential learning, the helping relationship, facilitative qualities of the helping process, communication skills, and problem-solving skills. So how do adults learn from practice? First, let's explore some of what you observed or heard as you were watching the video about how to learn to ride the bike. In this video, the adult learner was instructed verbally and then was asked to practice. And she was asked to practice several times going through the different developmental steps. She was provided with tasks that were incrementally more complicated. First, she learned to balance without pedaling. In fact, the pedals were removed. Then, step by step, the pedals were put back on, and then she started to use the pedals. It is possible that before she got on the bike, she had read instructions on how to ride a bike, or even watched a video such as the one you saw on how to ride a bike. That can reinforce the in vivo practice. So let's apply this to social work. As adults, we learn how to do a new skill in different ways. We can listen to verbal instructions, read written instructions, and/or observe before actually practicing. In your classes, you are reading and hearing and thinking, whereas in the field, you are step by step given the opportunity to put this in practice. Maybe first you observe, and then you can try the skills such as interviewing, problem solving with a distressed client, etc. on your own. This, of course, is done with supervision. That includes reflection and feedback, and hopefully through a positive supervisory relationship, which is another type of helping relationship. Through these processes of practice, support, and reinforcement, you are more likely able to develop more realistic expectations, not expecting too much or too little, and manage your fears, which are normal. This builds confidence that you are ready to take on new challenges and know you can perform them with increasing skill. And some of this skill building includes learning from your successes and your mistakes, which takes us back to the reflection and feedback process. So, applying experiential learning to build skills in being a professional helper requires active engagement in real-life experience that you are studying through the readings and then you're able to put into practice. It provides direct observation of the characteristics, benefits, and risks of the helping relationship in real time. Also, the field practice is hopefully it is mutually educational and rewarding to students and field supervisors, as supervisors learn from students, as teachers learn from students. Also, students have an opportunity for one-on-one learning through individual and/or group supervision, as opposed to being in a class where you're learning through larger groups. Also, learning from practice and courses is lifelong throughout our careers. And in most states, including New Jersey, continuing education is mandated. So let's review the mutual link between our coursework and our fieldwork. Learning requires that we both understand, that is the knowledge or cognitive dimension we learn from books in our classes, and practice, the behavioral component that we learn in our field practice, using the professional helping relationship differently from being a helpful friend or relative. So how is it different? Number one, it means that we want to both help and also to do no harm. If you can't help, the ethical rule is do no harm. Also, it's important to work within our skill level. Perhaps you're asked to work with a survivor of sexual assault. It is important that you be aware of your particular skill level and ask for what you need. Or you negotiate, saying this is outside my skill level, but I want to read something first. Can I watch a video? And then I would like to have someone else with more skill join me so that I can be coached. It also means that we engage as partners, we're strategic, and we have to put on our critical thinking hat. As I say, in my experience, people often think social workers only need a big heart. Yes, in fact, we need a big heart, but we need a lot of information and good critical thinking skills. Analyzing and synthesizing a lot of information is part of what our work is. And hopefully through this process, we can develop a professional social work identity that transcends any job that you have. To me, as a social worker, we're linked by not where we practice, but what we practice. So let's summarize some important risks, benefits, skills, and principles of a professional social work helper. And in this picture, you see some social work students who are playing basketball with some youth who are in a group home and were in risk situations. So they're learning how to use the being a friend, being engaging, but also use it in a professional way. So, the risks of being a helpful friend. We know having friends is very important. Support networks of friends and family are critical for our well-being. Some of our interventions have to do with helping clients build these helpful friend networks. But we also need to know the risks associated with totally depending on helpful friends in some situations, because people can do harm when they're trying to help. Have you ever heard any of these responses to sharing a problem? It will be okay. It will pass. It isn't so bad. I told you so. I can see my mother with her finger pointed out. Oh, you shouldn't feel like that. Or you should feel thankful for that. So when I hear these kinds of things, I feel like my concerns are minimized, not listened to, not important enough. Sometimes I felt like I couldn't feel vulnerable, and I know that is human. Feeling vulnerable and having that acknowledged is very much a part of helping and being helped. So there are risks of getting professional help. There's a stigma sometimes in getting help. I'm not crazy. Oh, I have to be strong. And many of these kinds of beliefs sometimes come from our family rules and social norms, which strongly impact on behaviors, relationships, and choices that we make. Also, some of the risks may be related to if I change or do something differently, that means he or she is going to have to change and or accept it, and that can be very scary. Questions one may have when looking for a professional helper may include, how does one shop around? How does one ask? Will I find a good match? So knowing who to ask for help and when is something I feel sure you will encounter in your field placement. And I say to you as students, ask for help when you need it, and that includes with me. So just some principles of professional helping. Professional helping is non-judgmental and unbiased, and I'll say within professional boundaries, because we will talk about the duty to warn, and also there are times when we have to make judgments and we have to take action, particularly when someone's at risk of hurting themselves or hurting someone else. Masking problems can result in future problems. So getting professional help can often prevent things from getting worse. Also, empowerment and personal control can come from self-awareness. Just a better understanding of my behavior, the consequences, can give me a sense of better control. Another principle is that it's very important to take one's stage of development into consideration. Is this a preschool individual? Is this an adolescent? Is this a young adult? Is this an elderly person? And we'll talk more about tuning in and also care, different types of care across the life cycle. Some of the principles are the same, but then there may be differences in the ways that they may be implemented. Also, the professional helper can step out of the individual problem and sees patterns, and this is the objectivity that we bring as a professional helper. A positive experience with a professional helper can also serve as a model for personal problem solving as well as our own professional development. In other words, we can learn from our clients. But it's not either or. It is important to have both a professional helper, if needed, and friends and families that can support, encourage, and help follow through, etc. We need a loving family and the therapist's abilities. We're all human, including friends, relatives, and helping professionals. We all make mistakes. It is how we recover and what we learn that is important.